Ken, welcome. Dr. Prieto, welcome. David, hello, hello. Bill, thanks for joining. All right, everybody, let's get started. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to kick off the Tour de Cure Northern California event. My name is Alan Kissick. I'm the Executive Director of the Northern California Territory. We have a really exciting event here today for you. You're going to hear from some legends in the diabetes community, like Manny Hernandez, our MC for the evening. Manny is the co-founder of Diabetes Hands Foundation, 2 Diabetes, S2 Diabetes, ex Livongo, Tide Pool, and so much more. Really excited to hand the microphone over to Manny here in a few moments. He's also our community leadership board chair. So thank you, Manny, for taking on that role. We also will hear from a legend in the diabetes community, Bill Carlson. Bill Carlson is the first diabetes Ironman who shattered barriers for people with diabetes, being one of those first sportsmen living with insulin-dependent diabetes. So super excited to hear this interview from Bill, as well as he'll be potentially joining us here later for a meet and greet. We have a host of other great speakers. You hear from youth ambassadors, as well as our Living Red captain and planning committee chair, and many, many more. 2 of my teammates, Tom Hall and Danny Medley, will also be unveiling some of the new tools associated with our virtual Tour de Cure this year. And yeah, we're really excited about the content. I think many of you know me. I'm a Red Rider. I'm living with diabetes. I was diagnosed when I was 26 years old, and I participated in my first Tour de Cure just 3 weeks after my diagnosis. And like many of you around that time, I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of concerns. I was really worried. But I found my community when I first participated in that Tour de Cure in 2006. And, I was able to get the answers that I was looking for, and that peer-to-peer community to support me. And as I looked around that event on that first day, I noticed that the majority of the people there were not living with diabetes. They were there to support this great cause, and many there were there just out of the philanthropic nature of their hearts, or they were there because of the great bike ride that we put on every year here at the American Diabetes Association. Our goal, is to create a movement, to get people on those bikes to better manage their diabetes if they're living with diabetes, or to delay the onset of diabetes so that more people don't actually have to develop diabetes like type 2. So thank you for being part of that movement. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about this year's plans here in a few moments. If you're not following us on Facebook, here are our various channels. We also have a Strava club this year. This is another virtual event. So please tune in, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or on Strava. We are really excited that today we actually inked a sponsorship, a signature sponsorship with Abbott Diabetes. Our goal this year is to raise $750,000 for the Tour de Cure. We have a stretch goal of getting past $1 million. And Abbott actually helped us get 10% there with this signature sponsorship. So if we could all give a virtual round of applause for Abbott for their sponsorship here today. For those that aren't aware, in Northern California, we had 2 Tour de Cures last year. We had a Silicon Valley event and we had a wine country event. Both events were amazing events, but we combined forces this year for the first time to make the Tour de Cure Northern California. And both of those events that I mentioned earlier have been in the top 5 for many, many times over. But last year, if you added up the participant base and you added up the fundraising, we would have been the #1 Tour de Cure in the country. The East Coast took the title of the #1 tour about 5 years ago, I want to say, and we're going to take it back this year, thanks to the great work that our champions, people with diabetes, and all our supporters will be able to do. And thank you for helping us last year as well be the #3 and #5 in the country. And of course, Abbott Diabetes is giving us a springboard to getting us there. So thank you again to Abbott. I'm going to hand it over here in a few moments to Bob Conkler, who is not only a champion for diabetes, he's raised a couple 100,000, maybe even at the 300,000 mark here today, but he also serves on our executive committee for the Tour de Cure, helping us reach those goals. So Bob, thank you for being a true champion. We can get things started here with a quick video, which I think many of you will be familiar with when it comes to the story. So without further ado, here we go.
It was June 2008. We were playing in LA for the championship.
Our entire family was in Los Angeles for this big moment. And between a Monday and a Friday, Walker all of a sudden just wasn't himself. When the doctor came in, she looked at me and said, your blood sugar is supposed to be between 70 and 120. Walker's is 639, and he has type 1 diabetes, which means his blood sugar is essentially poisoning him to death. And if he doesn't get insulin soon, you're going to lose him. It was literally the scariest sentence that anyone had ever said to me.
I'm going to play game 6 of the finals, and I'm still in the hospital that morning, and I'm thinking to myself, like, this championship is so irrelevant.
Life with diabetes is hard. Living is hard. Meals are hard. Taking an exam is hard.
We try to take that burden away from him as much as we can and allow him to just be a kid.
When new things come up that feel like freedom, of course, I want them for Walker. I've been making sure that he's not just surviving, but thriving.
Abbott's Freestyle Libre 2 has allowed our family to be so much more at ease, knowing Walker's numbers, all hours throughout the day.
We don't just know where he is, we know if he's going up, if he's going down, which is always a huge concern. There's alarms. With the data, it's much easier to have tighter control over his A1C. It's almost like now we have a roadmap.
We have a healthy son that knows how to live, smiles, he plays basketball.
I think it's great because I don't always have to go to my mom and dad and be like, here's my number. They'll just always know once I check it. Always make sure you're checking your number, always stay on it, and it's gonna be okay, you just gotta get through it.
What you realize is you're a lot tougher than you actually thought you were in the beginning.
All right, thanks again, Abbott, for your amazing sponsorship. Bob, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thanks, Alan. And thanks for the opportunity. Alan asked me just to tell a little bit of the Abbott story, why we're here as a signature sponsor, and hopefully encourage others to join us. Obviously, being a trusted partner to people with diabetes is a big part of our mission. That's number one. Number two, for our employees, this directly connects them to that mission and to the people we aim to serve, and a lot of our own team who have diabetes themselves. And then number three, our partnership with the ADA, I would say, has never been stronger. We're we were a lead funder of the Health Equity Now initiative, and have also been supporting the new Connect the Dots education initiative that the ADA has started to take people on a journey to learn and take what they can do with continuous glucose monitoring further. So we really think the ADA is doing a lot of great things in leading, helping people advance care with new technology, and that's important to us. But I want to talk just a minute about Health Equity Now and why it's important. Freestyle Libre was born out of a failure and a lesson for our company, that bringing complicated, high-cost devices to the market, which is typically the model, wasn't what was needed here, and wasn't the way we wanted to approach healthcare. And so that caused us to go back to the drawing board with a product that had failed and say, this is what would be required to really change diabetes care, not just market to the top end, but really help a much bigger chunk of people with diabetes care. And to do that, we have to hit an ease of use and a cost profile And then the hats off to really the R&D and technology team for doing that. But then we have to work through the healthcare systems, and that's been the next challenge. And in the U.S. in particular, the healthcare system doesn't always reward a low price position, and that's one of the things that the ADA is committed to helping bring reform to and make it more affordable, accessible for others. So we're really excited to be a part of that and excited for ADA's leadership in that, and look forward to continuing, helping us advance our mission and helping people with diabetes. So we see a lot of overlap in thinking and what we're trying to do, and obviously the ADA does things that we simply can't do because they speak for and advocate for all the people with diabetes and provide that community that's so important. So we're really happy to have the opportunity to do this, honored to be here, and I welcome everybody else to participate as well. Thanks for the time, Alan, and everybody else, thanks for all you do to make the Tour de Cure such a great event for the ADA.
Well, thank you, Bob. And again, another round of applause, virtual round of applause for Abbott and for Bob for all their great efforts and support to the ADA and people with diabetes all across the United States. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our MC for the evening. Oh, sorry. I should also recognize some of our other sponsors. Obviously, Abbott is coming in as our signature sponsor, but we also wanted to recognize Bio-Rad for coming in as our elite sponsor. Both Abbott and Bio-Rad have some of the largest teams in the Tour de Cure, so I wanted to just say extra special thanks to both Abbott and Bio-Rad and all the people here today representing those companies. We appreciate you. And to King & Spalding, our first sponsor of the year, helping get all this momentum started. So thank you to our sponsors to date. And if you are in a position, you work for a company, you happen to be in a position to support the Tour de Cure and this amazing event that we have planned for 2021, please feel free to direct message me or send me an email. We'd love to talk to you. And without further ado, Manny Hernandez.
Thank you so much, Alan. And I want to echo the thank you to obviously Abbott and Bio-Rad and King & Spalding for making for their contribution in support of the Tour de Cure and ADA more broadly. And again, take Alan up on the invite to have your company join that slate. We want to see that slide completely full of company logos. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our first speaker today. He's someone I've had the opportunity to know for quite some time. I'm never short of amazed at his prowesses. In fact, because we weren't sure if he was going to be able to join us, but he's already on the call. We recorded an interview with him, which we're going to play right now. And towards the end, those of you who want to stick around for a little bit longer to get to meet and ask Bill questions, are welcome to do so. So, Alan, let me know when you're ready to get the video started.
All right, here we go. And I should note that there's a little bit of suspense here at the beginning. Your sound is working. Just give it a moment.
This is Bill Carlson, a 23-year-old student. He looks like any other triathlete, but Bill is a diabetic, and no diabetic has ever attempted the Ironman before.
Well, regular people or, a lot of athletes, they think people that do this Ironman are nuts anyways. And to do it with an insulin pump, and being a diabetic, that's even more nuts.
How did having diabetes affect your relationship with sports and your athletic ambitions?
Diabetes had a significant effect on my ability to perform my sports and my ambitions, what I was going to do with myself going forward. And I knew that if I was able to get this under control, because there were some excellent athletes at the time that were able to do very well in sports, but I needed to know that information. So I reached out with the American Diabetes Association. I have 45 years now with insulin-dependent diabetes. Every time I get with someone that's diabetic, it's like a new diabetes camp.
So what led you to strive to become an Ironman?
Well, primarily, I wanted to do sports. I love doing sports. I didn't become 6'4", 270 like other guys in my family who are, these incredible, football players and water polo players. I'm, 5'10" and 160 pounds, like the same I was in high school. I'm still that size. And when I saw this video of the Ironman Triathlon World Championship, it was like a christening experience, something that came over me, a long-term goal that I could achieve and do very well. And I knew that nobody else with diabetes had ever done this before. And so I was going to be breaking into a new territory. Even the medical research at the time didn't have anything written about insulin-dependent diabetic running, a marathon and then, a 112-mile bike ride, and then also, swimming 2.4 miles.
Awesome. What challenges did diabetes pose to your efforts?
With the volume of exercise that I was doing at the time, my sensitivity of my body was so high that I really didn't need any insulin to pursue these long endurance events. And I was running normal blood sugars while I was doing it. For example, I would leave my parents' house in the San Fernando Valley, and I would ride all the way down to the Del Mar train station, 142 miles. And then I'd get on the train and then ride back to downtown LA and then make my way back down to West Los Angeles. And I had a friend that was living down there. But when I started my ride, after about an hour and a half, I would start eating some food because I needed the carbohydrate, to be doing this event, but I did not overeat. I didn't send my blood sugars up very high. But the medical research at the time said that I needed to take insulin. But I was already doing almost the entire Ironman triathlon in practice without taking any of this insulin because my training volume was so high. Training volume, exercise 4 to 8, sometimes 10 hours a day. And during those times, I was taking little to no insulin and running normal blood sugars. So with the medical information that these guys had, we were able to come up with a combination, a strategy. And we built a carbohydrate drink. We measured what my body weights were, after taking so much of this carbohydrate drink over a certain amount of time. So we had the right concentration of the drink. And then with my training and the pacing and keeping my heart rates at a normal pace, I was able to use this drink and then run this volume and then bicycle or, swim, bike, run, and then test, every hour, every 45 minutes. And so that I could put all that information together when I was in practice and I could apply that at the same time I was doing Ironman triathlon. And it was a success.
With advances in technology, how did life, as an athlete change or become easier for you?
Before I had a glucometer, which was a 2-minute test. This is something that I used in practice, and it was quite large. There are ones that are much smaller these days, which are brilliant to use. Before I got that a glucometer, it was a couple of years before that, I had the urine test strips, and that was kind of a ballpark where you might be, but it didn't give you any exact findings. I also used an insulin pump, this Delta insulin pump, which a friend of my father's started this insulin pump company. It's the very first kind. It is the very first generation of insulin pumps, and I was using that. The changes that have happened with the technology have made sports and diabetes so much easier. There is so much less risk because you have nearly real-time blood sugar values that you can get in a few seconds, and they can tell you what your values are, so you don't have to risk taking a shot or giving yourself a bolus, or changing your loop information so that you're delivered more insulin at certain times. And the different kinds of insulins that are available, the reactivities, the immediate, the little bit longer acting, and then the older insulins, and then the ultra insulins that work much more, like around 12 or 24 hours. They have made the diabetes management so much easier.
What did becoming the first Ironman with type 1 diabetes mean to you personally?
Becoming the first diabetic to do the Ironman triathlon was very significant for myself because nobody else had ever done this before. But it wasn't until years later that I realized that the message that I was giving was having a significant impact in people's lives. People didn't realize that they could do these kinds of things, where they said, finally, I can make something happen. Diabetes doesn't have to control me. I can control it. I'm going to go do my things. I'm going to take diabetes along with me and just manage it as I go. But I have to be educated about it. You got to be connected with the other people to do it. You have to have all these modern tools, which make it so much easier to do these things. And with that, you can do anything. Anything.
What do you do today to stay fit and on top of your game? Besides climbing on date trees.
I do have some date trees. I continue to do the swimming, bicycling, running events. I do bike racing. I'm just going to tip the screen. There's a couple of them. I have quite a few of those. And I'm going to tip the screen up. These are a handful of some of the Ironman triathlons that I've done in the past years, but I'm still doing those things. I'm still trying to qualify to go back to Ironman Hawaii. My last one was in 2016. And the other thing is, you've got to stay continually on top of your diabetes. You've got to stay on top of that. Okay, so here's just a little quick story. So last September, I went into the eye doctor. Every year I do a physical and look at all my blood values and stuff. 45 years I've had insulin-dependent diabetes. And I've had this very active lifestyle, watching my diet. I take my nutritive supplements, and I'm doing all these things, educated. They couldn't find a lick of disease. Everything works on my body. It's nice. I don't have any hypersensitivities or any problems with my toes or my feet. Everything works. And it's because I just stayed committed and desire, to stay active.
So why should people, particularly people with diabetes, participate in the Tour the Cure?
Because it can help your cardiovascular system. It makes your body more sensitive so that you can use your medications more simply. You won't have to use as much insulin, which is very good. It gets you out of bed in the morning so you can, be active. It's like a big diabetes camp. It's a big party out there so that you can enjoy yourself with all the other people with diabetes.
Well, you can see now how hearing Bill speak would get anyone inspired, right? And it definitely did that for me, as far as getting my butt on my bike again and starting to train for the Tour de Cure. So Again, we're going to be joined by Bill for a meet and greet at the end of the program. So stick around for that. And if you have questions for him, make sure to put them on the chat. We'll get to them. So thank you again, Bill, for those incredible and inspiring words. So next, we're going to be hearing, we're joined today by two youth ambassadors from at ADA. The first one we're going to be hearing from, Sumi Shetty, is coming to us from San Ramon in the East Bay. So take it away, Sumi.
Thank you, Manny. Hello, hi from me in my bright pink room. It is an honor as much as it is a pleasure to be back here again. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sumi Shetty. I'm 15 years old and I'm the youth ambassador for the ADA in Northern California. I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes back in 2018 as an 8th grader. Being a 12-year-old, type 2 diabetes isn't exactly what you expect when you hear a child saying that they live with it. Unfortunately, what we're seeing in our nation is this trend of type 2 diabetes becoming more prominent in youth, thus resulting in us changing the name from adult diabetes to type 2. My journey with the disease has most definitely been one that was unique. Trying to blend in as a middle schooler, working to reverse what I was diagnosed with, and staying positive throughout my experience is a lot to take in and manage as a preteen. A little background information for those of you who are not familiar with my story is that initially when I was diagnosed, I started off with a 7.2 A1C. I say this every time, but my family doesn't diet. We don't. Not that we don't want to, we just can't. We love food a little too much. It's ingrained in our culture. My family is of Indian descent, so our food is very rich in butter, sugar, and all of that good stuff. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. If I had $1 for every time my family tried to go on a diet, I would be swimming in money right now. So for the first time in my life, the day I got back from the hospital after being officially diagnosed, and my mother presented me with this plate full of mushed greens, I couldn't help but laugh. I was laughing and I looked at her and her face was like serious. I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. But from my journey with all of this, what I learned is that healthy eating doesn't mean going on a diet. It doesn't mean eating mushed greens and avoiding eye contact with cake. It means eating in moderation, enjoying life, having that dessert, eating that pizza, but in moderation. There's this mental block that I carried with me beforehand that healthy eating meant eating spinach 24/7. But in time, I learned that's not true. I learned to make healthy meals more fun, taking on a challenge every time I made myself a meal to eat cleaner choices. I trained myself to break this habit of eating whatever I saw in front of me or telling myself that eating better would start tomorrow. Alongside my new eating habits came getting active. I'm a martial artist and I'm a soccer player, so I found myself increasing my practice time, which ultimately helped me improve my craft, so it was a win-win situation. Additionally, it came down to making smaller choices, like walking to school instead of driving, doing a workout video instead of watching TV. Confidently, I can say that being diagnosed is a lifestyle change. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it's not an easy one. It's not an easy one. It requires persistence and positivity and patience, but I can tell you that if you stick with it long enough and if you put in the work, you will feel better mentally and physically, And I'm a 15-year-old, so you do what you want with the information, but I will tell you from my perspective, it does work. So within just 6 months, I got my A1C number from a 7.2 to a 5.11. I did it. I was feeling good again. Diabetes is not an easy thing to understand, especially being 12 years old. So with my time, I've come to realize how many kids are just like me who started off confused with this new thing that would impact their life. As a kid, especially being in middle school, you want nothing more than to fit in with your peers, to not stand out and be the odd one out. So when I got diagnosed, I was like, that's it. I'm dropping out of middle school. I can't do this. I was terrified. So the first day that I went into the nurse's office, I met with two of the funniest people I know who also had diabetes. I'm not going to lie. When I first saw them, I was like, great, now we're all the weird kids. No one's going to want us. But within my time, I learned that we're all the same. As ridiculous as it sounds, we bonded over pricking our fingers before meals, comparing glucose numbers. It was crazy. I also learned that having diabetes doesn't make you any less stronger of a person. In fact, dare I say, it makes you even stronger. It's all about using it to your advantage. With my time in the ADA, I've learned about the reality of diabetes, and it can be a hard thing to manage, especially with the well-known insulin cost crisis we see today. Though it may be my first of many, in October of 2020, I raised $1,400 in 4 weeks to help the cause. With the community and individuals like you all here today, dedicated to helping improve the life of your friends with diabetes, people like me, I have complete trust in the future for those people living with diabetes is getting better. Through my work with the ADA, I hope that by telling my story, I'm helping someone get that push or that confidence it takes to be confident in themselves, right? Get that start on their story. With that being said, I would like to end off by congratulating you for being here today and taking that step to help us. I'm beyond excited to once again help kick off the Tour de Cure 2021. I look forward to hearing your stories and celebrating your accomplishments with you. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Simi. That was just so powerful. And I think honestly an inspiration on so many fronts, not only your journey with type 2, but also like what you've accomplished in a matter of weeks in terms of fundraising. So an inspiration to us all. Thank you. So next, we're gonna be hearing, she's coming to us from Belmont in the Peninsula. We're gonna be hearing from Maddie Cunningham. Are you ready, Maddie?
Yes.
Take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maddie Cunningham, and I'm 16 years old. So on December 17th, 2020, I had what my friends and I call my Diaversary or diabetes anniversary. And this Diaversary was extra special to me because it marked 1 decade of me living with type 1 diabetes. But unlike a birthday where the anticipation builds for a month or even a few months and you're planning for it, I had completely forgotten about my Diaversary until the day before it happened. And it's not that I wasn't excited for or proud of this moment, but it was instead that diabetes management had become such a normal behavior for me that I rarely noticed it anymore. And I give a lot of credit to the amazing advancements in diabetes research and technology. Right now, I am on an insulin pump and a continuous glucose monitor. Instead of giving myself 5 or 6 shots a day, I can just type in the carb amount into my pump and it will calculate and administer the amount of insulin I need. Instead of constantly poking my finger to check my blood sugar, I can simply just look at my continuous glucose monitor to see how I'm doing. And I kind of get in trouble for using my CGM too much because I never check my blood sugar anymore, but it's pretty great. And the ADA is focused on funding research that creates these sorts of advancements so that diabetes management becomes easier and so that a cure could be found in the near future. Along with advancements in research, my diabetes management has become much easier thanks to my amazing medical team at UCSF. From teaching me how to count carbs when I was 6 to responding to calls at midnight when I had ketones, my medical team is always there for me and it makes me feel secure. I am beyond lucky to be a patient at UCSF because, like Simi said, many people with diabetes do not have access to the medical care they need, nor do they have access to affordable insulin. And this is why it is a top priority for the ADA to help all people with diabetes gain access to the medical care that they deserve and that they need. Despite how much simpler managing my diabetes has become, there of course have been bumps in the road. Sometimes I run out of insulin because I forgot to check my pump, or I have a bad day with my blood sugars. But it's not these small hardships that bother me the most. It's the misconceptions about type 1 diabetes that really bother me and nearly every diabetic I've talked to. I cannot tell you the amount of times someone has questioned what I'm eating, thinking I can't have sugar, or thinking that they know what sort of foods I'm supposed to have. There's also the misconception that diabetes will prevent someone from living out their dreams in their lives. When I was first diagnosed, I thought that this was true, and I was playing softball when I was 7 or 8, and I unfortunately struck out. But when I went to the dugout, I asked, "Dad, did I strike out because I have diabetes?" And growing up with diabetes, I can attest to this not being true because I've been able to pursue multiple interests, from playing competitive soccer to playing viola and being able to travel all places in the world for these interests. The ADA is working towards helping the public understand the truth about both type 1 and type 2 diabetes, spreading awareness through social media, in schools, through community events like the Tour de Cure greatly benefits the lives of people with diabetes, and especially their confidence with the disease. The reason I joined the ADA was to help spread this awareness and give back to the diabetes community that has given so much to me. Some projects that I've done with the as youth ambassador includes creating posts for the ADA's Instagram page and starting up the youth council with Danny and Simi. I love doing all of these projects, but the best part about working with the ADA has been working with the people. Everyone is so kind and so welcoming, and I am truly lucky to be a part of this amazing community. I'm honored to be a youth ambassador for the ADA, and I have been honored to be able to speak with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maddie. Beautiful, beautiful words, and thank you for sharing of your journey, your experience. So next, we are gonna change, switch lanes, if you may. We're gonna start going into the specifics of the tour and all the details. And for that, we're gonna have Tom, and then Danny, and then Brooks. So Tom, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Manny. And I just want to thank all of the speakers for their inspiration. So the inspiration part is done for now, and we'll go straight to the information here. So Tour de Cure 2021, Northern California is scheduled for Sunday, October 10th. And because we're a virtual event, you get to choose where you want to participate. So of course, we'd all prefer the in-person event, but that's not in the cards for this year. But the silver lining in this cloud is that Tour de Cure is now open to a vast geography. Last year, we had participation from 29 states, from 13 countries and 5 continents. So I challenge everyone here on the call to think about your sister in Seattle, your cousin in Maryland, your friend in Phoenix, or wherever they may be. They can participate as well. So ask them to join you in this great event. We've lowered the barriers to entry. There's no registration fee. There's no fundraising requirement. But at the same time, we're asking everyone to really give it a try. Raise $130 to earn what we call our challenge accepted box. And that's just $30 for any of our children, 17 and under. They only need to raise $30 to earn the challenge accepted box. And part of that box is on the next slide. This is the challenge accepted shirt. You can see it's not just a t-shirt. This is an upgraded performance shirt. And you can see that all of the 11 tours are listed there on the back. So that's kind of makes it a collectible, commemorative concert style shirt that we're sure that you're going to want to have in your Tour de Cure wardrobe. So that's at $130. We also have our $500 fundraising level, and here is the 30th anniversary jersey. This is the 30th anniversary. It's a special year for us. So we have this very attractive jersey if you raise $500. By the way, one of the ADA's goal is collectively throughout the nation to ride 3 million miles this year, not just on the day of the event, but throughout the event. We also have our champions level, and we're going to be having a champions recognition event, and everyone who raises at least $1,000 will receive the champion celebration box with a bunch of cool things that you see here. And for our super fundraisers, and we've got at least one person who's almost on the threshold of having raised $5,000, you will receive an invitation to an exclusive coffee event featuring our CEO, Tracy Brown, and our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Robert Gabay. That will be a very special meet and greet with them and an opportunity to ask them questions and to hear their perspective on what's happening with diabetes. And there will also be an additional VIP gift box that you receive. And with that, I'm going to turn the program over to my colleague, Danny Medley, who will tell us more.
Thanks, Tom. So as we gear up for the Tour de Cure, we are in that virtual event, and as Tom mentioned, everyone would prefer the in-person event. And one of the biggest things that I've heard when talking with many of you is that it's such a the day of the event is such a feeling of community. Some people only see each other that one time a year, but they've forged friendships over the years, and it's become a tradition in their lives, even with their families. And we are looking to preserve that as much as possible. And so in doing so, what we've developed is what's called our roadmap to the tour. And in preparation of the big day on October 10th, we decided to do an engagement event on the 10th of each month leading up to the tour. And we have some really fun things planned. Coming up, we have a diabetes-friendly cooking demo where you can cook along with the chef. We also have a mocktail cocktail night where you can make a diabetes-friendly drink. All ages are welcome. And we have our trivia night, which we also had last year, and that was a blast. And then what else? Oh, we also have so the tour is virtual this year, but we're also doing a virtual escape room that's going to take the shape of the tour. So definitely check that out. That's going to be really fun. And then, of course, we have our practice rides that we encourage everyone to meet us out on there. So that's our roadmap to the tour. And then also the biggest update this year with everything that we have going on is the Tour de Cure app. So the Tour de Cure app, you can download it on the Apple App Store or on the Google Play Store. And that is actually the primary way that we're going to be able to communicate with most folks in real time. So if you want to look at the roadmap events, if you want to look at what's going on, if you want to look at the leaderboards, checking out how you're doing fundraising or you're exercising, compare against your teams or your friends, definitely check out the Tour de Cure app. It is a really awesome app, and we're really excited about it. Getting into a more granular explanation. So in the app, we have a whole bunch of features that we've built into it. So first and foremost is the fitness challenges. So we've partnered with Strava to do some fitness challenges. We also have some fitness challenges that are going to be built solely into the app organically. But right now we have our Tour de Cure Strava challenge going on. It's running from April 7th to May 4th. There are close to 80,000 participants that are doing this right now. And the challenge is to ride a total of 880 miles, and that's in honor of the 88 million folks that have prediabetes. Now, also in the app, we have our activity leaderboards, which is a big update. Diabetes, managing your diabetes, just as Bill said earlier, is it's all about staying active, making healthy life choices and whatnot. And so we've added that in. Is you can access your activity. You can link it to a Google Fitbit, Apple Plus, or you can also just go straight to your Strava, and it will update in real time into the app, and you can compare yourself on your team. So that's gonna be fun. With our challenges and our fundraising levels, you'll also earn mission badges for different things you can do. And Rick, Rick, thanks. It's 880 minutes, not 880 miles. That's a big difference there. Thanks, Rick. Yeah, the Strava challenge 880 minutes. And then finally, in the app, we also have our social gallery, which is where you can upload throughout the year your practice rides. On the big day, we encourage everyone to take a photo of your ride wherever you are. And you can also customize it with some frames in there, and you can link that to your Facebook and Instagram if you want to share it across all your social media channels. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our super champion and the chair, one of our chairs, Brooks Benson.
Thanks, Danny. So, hi, I'm Brooks. I was diagnosed type 2 diabetes in the year 2000. And like almost everyone else who gets the punch in the face with a diagnosis, I struggled with understanding my condition for quite a long time. And it wasn't until my primary care physician motivated me to get on the bike and start riding my bike that I felt like I was getting things under control. It was tough going at first, but after being persistent and keeping up, I started going back to my doctor and getting those A1C tests, and my numbers were coming down. So I knew I was onto something by sticking with the bike. About a year after I started riding my bike regularly, I found the Tour de Cure, and I knew instantly that this is something that I wanted to participate in. I was fortunate enough to raise enough money my first year to become champion, and that first event for me was a pretty meaningful experience. At the champions dinner was the first time I'd ever knowingly spoken to anybody who was also a diabetic about living with diabetes, and that event and the experience I had the next day as a rider really cemented my desire to continue to participate as often as I could. And the more I got involved with the tour, the more I met, as Alan was saying earlier, my community of people that I could all learn from each other and share experiences and learn together how we can use exercise and diet and motivate each other to keep our glucose under control. And so after a couple of years of being a participant, a Red Rider participant, I joined the organizing committee and have had a few different roles. I'm been captain or co-captain of Team Red Napa Valley for a number of years. And the last couple of years, I've been chairman of the organizing, volunteering, planning committee. So I introduced a couple of concepts just quickly that I want to dig into a little further. What's a Red Rider? I'm a Red Rider. What's a Red Rider? A Red Rider is a person who's got the diagnosis of diabetes who participates in the Tour de Cure. You can be a Red Rider on any team. Every team has got Red Riders. So and as a Red Rider, this event is really about you and about us and about celebrating our successes and about pushing ourselves further to raise money for the ADA and to also raise our own health status and continue to remain healthy. One of the things that we get as a reward for being a Red Rider participant is this nifty jersey, which I think is on the next slide. There you go. Modeled a lot after the jersey that you saw Tom present, but this is a specific Red Rider jersey that all Red Riders can get. I believe you have to raise the 130 for the basic amount, but that jersey is yours. And so then the next concept I want to talk about is Team Red. And a lot of people get Team Red and Red Riders a bit confused. And so I want to make sure I draw a distinction here. Team Red is the team for people who don't have a team. Now, we always believe that the experience of a rider or participant in the Tour de Cure is better with a team. So if you've got a corporate team or a bunch of friends that you formed your own team, that's awesome. We want you to participate that way. But if you're just an individual rider and you don't have a team to participate with, please join Team Red. We welcome you to join Team Red and become a member of the team for people without a team. I hope that was clear. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Thanks everybody for participating, and go Red Rider.
Thank you so much, Brooks. And just so you know, the caliber of commitment that Brooks has, as of a few minutes ago, he had put in a total of almost 2,600 miles ridden as part of this year. So like, way to go, man, way to go. So for those of you who have not yet registered for the Tour de Cure, I want to spend a few moments going over how your participation makes a difference. And even for those of you who already have, because it helps, you know, and I'm going to try to tie it into what Maddie and Sumi were talking about earlier. There are 4 areas of focus that ADA is having right now. There's those of us, you've heard from several of us who are diagnosed, like, well, we're living with it, but there is a humongous number of people, of 88 million Americans who are believed to have prediabetes, most of whom don't know it. So only 15% of them are aware. So taking a moment to share the diabetes risk test that is linked here is an example of how ADA is like increasing risk awareness. So that's focus area number 1. The second focus area comes in the form of funding innovative research. If we can advance to the next slide. So we had, in the past 30 years that Tour de Cure has been in place, it has been a driver of $860 million that has gone directly towards diabetes research. Diabetes research that ultimately translates in some of the advances that you heard, for example, Maddie talk about, that make a difference in our day-to-day lives with diabetes. So here's another area where you can see the impact that ADA is having as a result of your participation in Tour de Cure. The third focus area has to do with the improvement of medical care. So the kinds of standards of care that are updated on a regular basis, at times even multiple times a year, but no less than once a year, and that then they get disseminated throughout the healthcare system. You know, those impact our lives directly, and those are a direct result of the work that ADA does, like convening, you know, experts, leaders in diabetes research, and making sure that the best care devices, drugs are accessible to those of us living with a condition. And as a fourth area of focus, we have, you know, Tour de Cure is a prime example of it. Okay, so engaging with the community, Tour de Cure, diabetes advocacy, volunteering at a variety of events, like, are ways in which ADA is impacting, you know, engaging the community, and you can see the dollars that you're helping bring in as part of your participation in Tour de Cure. It also impacts this. So before wrapping up this part of the program and, like, you know, just spending time with Bill in a meet and greet, we want to take a few moments recognizing the different groups of volunteers that are making a difference. First off, you heard about the champions. So these are the folks that have raised at least $1,000. And some, you know, we have Thomas in attendance. Of course, we have Brooks, we have Simi, we have Alan. I hope I have not missed someone, because, like, that's always bad when you start naming names and there's someone that you don't mention it. That's bad. But anyway, we want to see this slide just full. We want to have everyone hopefully becoming a champion. And if you don't think you can do it, I tell you can. I'm more than happy to chat with you about ways in which you can become a champion. We also want to thank, in the next slide, our planning committee. that has been, spearheaded, led by Brooks, but you can see that we have Rich also participating today, and please apologies if I'm skipping anyone who's also on the call, who's on this list, but every single one of you making the logistics, the boots in the ground, possible for Tour de Cure. So thanks to each and every one of you. And last but not least, certainly our executive council. These folks, like we have Bob joining us right now, like from Abbott, like these folks represent companies that have been behind the success from a financial standpoint and also from a participation standpoint in the Tour de Cure. And in one particular name we want to call out on the next slide is last year's and continuing executive council leader this year, Pat Gelsinger, last year as the CEO of VMware. So he changed jobs and now he's the CEO of Intel. So like his leadership in 2020 is an example of the impact that it had, translated into more than $250,000 raised for the tour. So, no small feat. So thank you so much to Pat in particular. So as we wrap things up, before we switch over to meet and greet with Bill, couple calls to action. If you haven't already done so, please register. You have the QR code at the bottom left, or type in diabetes.org/TDC California. Very easy to register. Either join a team. If you don't have a team, you can join Team Red. You just heard Brooks talk about it, or create your own and invite others to join you. Prime the pump, as we would say in diabetes terms, like make sure to make a donation yourself so that when others come to your page, they don't see like an empty bucket, but rather a bucket that has like, whatever you can put in to get things started, and invite others to join your team. And make sure, as Danny introduced us to download the Tour de Cure app in your Tour Center. You can download it there, or just type, is it correct to say type Tour de Cure in the App Store or the Google Play, and it should turn up? Perfect. Awesome. So I think that brings us to the point of like anybody questions that we have. I have not been keeping track of questions, but are there any questions outstanding before we switch over to meet and greet with Bill?
We did have one question come in from Joe Miller. So it says, is today just for riders and cyclists, not for striders and runners? So because we are still in the virtual format, we do welcome striders and runners as well. The format that we're moving to beyond 2021 in 2022, we are going to be moving towards 2 separate events. So we're going to have a step out event, and we're also going to have our Tour de Cure event. But this year, fear not, we are welcome of everyone. And we definitely encourage folks to walk, ride, run, however they feel.
If I could add to that just a little bit, the communications that will be sent out related to the Tour de Cure this year will be more cycling centric. So if you're interested in being a Red Rider or Strider, we'd love to have you. Obviously, there's you could climb fig trees if you want to, and that could be your challenge if you want. But just know that the communications will be a little bit different. Also, when you're setting up your team, I'd set it up, as a walk team, meaning that when you put the name of the event, your team sign up for the COVID-19 walk team, for example. That'll help people identify if you're walking or not. Back over to you, Danny.
Awesome. Any other questions? You can put them on the chat, or some folks put on the Q&A. There was a question that was answered, but just in case anyone else is wondering the same thing, if you joined the webinar late, it has been recorded, and the ADA team will be circulating a link to it, so you'll be able to look at the whole content of the webinar. Do we have any? There's another open. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So how about we switch over to, we have Bill, we have you on video, and you just need to unmute yourself. Hello, how are you?
How's that sound?
It sounds perfect.
Okay.
So
it looks pretty foggy here. Let me see if I can improve that window there.
Much better.
Yeah, let me see here. You know, down here in La Quinta, opposed to what we have up there in San Francisco, there's a lot of fog that comes in across our valley. Well, that's kind of a joke. Actually, it's pretty windy today. We got a lot of sand in the air, so that's what's going on right now in La Quinta. Hey, but the presentation was excellent. You guys have a wonderful organization. Everybody working together, big teams. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah. Are there with the registration? How long has it been open, Manny?
Well, I'm going to defer to Tom to give details on those figures. Yes.
Yeah, it's been open since January, and right now we've got 29 teams, maybe more since this meeting, then 108 registered participants. We'll be taking registrations all the way up to the day of the event.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of people. And as you said, it's a annual event that a lot of people participate in. That's wonderful. Fantastic.
Bill, to get the question started here, I'd love to pose one. And first off, thank you for being a part of this and for the incredible inspiration to all people like with diabetes like myself. When I'm riding, especially long distance, you know, I have like a ratio of a certain amount of miles that I have to cross and a certain amount of snacks that I have to have as I'm riding. And I'm just curious how you figured out that formula for yourself.
Well, the literature and you also know, is this Alan that's speaking?
Yes, sir.
Oh, hi, Alan. Yeah. You know, how many carbohydrates that you go through in an hour for, I think that our body weights are kind of similar. I'm about 160 pounds. From your video picture, you look like a similar size and body composition. But for guys our size, it's if you're cycling at a moderate to heavy pace, it's about 250 to 300 calories an hour. And so you have to your best carbohydrates are the ones that are a 1-to-4 ratio, where if you have 100 calorie thing that you're eating, you want to have 25 grams of carbohydrate. So that 1-to-4 ratio. And so you can start with that and trying to consume. You might try consuming 100 or 200 calories an hour, just to give it a little bit less, just so that you can see how your body reacts to that. Now, when you're exercising, you're usually using your circulating glucose and utilizing that insulin, usually for the first hour and a half to 2 hours. And then after that, you have gone through much of that stored glycogen that's in your muscles. And then you're going to be reaping more and more of those carbohydrates. Now, I don't know if you remember that when I mentioned that, you know, right around an hour and a half, when I was doing those long rides back in the way back when, 1982, you know, down to San Diego, it's right about that time that your blood sugar will really kind of start coming down, as long as you don't have way too much insulin on board, and then your blood sugar starts to plummet. But, you know, also if you're looking at the graphs of insulin that are in the activity sheet, you know, the information sheet that's within the insulin, you want to have that insulin activity declining significantly around around 2 hours. And then after that, if you're really pushing, then you can go to that amount of carbohydrate, that I'd mentioned. And, again, guys, like around 160 pounds, approximately, you're looking at burning between 240 to 300 calories an hour. And that 1-to-4 ratio on the food item is really dynamite, meaning 25 grams of carbohydrate per 100 calories. And then with that, it'll be the most efficient thing that goes through your stomach. And there's other science things that you're going to be thinking about, like gastric emptying and that sort of stuff, so you just don't get too overloaded. But with this ride being more of a pleasure ride and stuff, you might have a little bit more insulin on board, unless you get with some hard balls that really want to throttle it up, and then you better be careful with that needle.
Yeah, I think we have.
Did that answer the question, Alan? Did I give you too much?
No, that's perfect. It might be too much for some, but perfect for me. And good job sizing me up too. You're spot on.
Okay.
And I think we have Lily with a question. You should be. Can you speak, Lily? See if we can hear you.
Sure. Is it working?
Yes.
Yes. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Lily. Hi, Lily. How are you?
Hi, Bill. How are you doing?
Super great.
Yay. Well, congrats on that podium finish in Wisconsin and your Kona finish. That's amazing.
The podium finish when?
I'm sorry?
Podium finish when?
In Wisconsin. Your
Oh, yeah. Oh, were you out there? Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. No, I was checking it out online. I'm a half Ironman finisher, so it's so awesome to meet you virtually and hear your story about finishing Ironman, living with type 1. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we were pretty excited. That was a very cool day. I was, that was really a lot of fun. That was very cool. Yeah, I had a great time.
I wanted to ask you two things. The first one is, are you going to go for La Quinta in December for the 70 point? Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. That run course is gnarly. I don't know.
Are you going to come?
No, I did it in 2018. I'm just doing Olympic right now. I'm taking a little break.
Okay. Okay.
Are you, tell me about tell all of us what your dream Tour de Cure bike course would be.
My dream Tour de Cure bike event?
Yeah, of course. Where would it be, and what distance would you like to do?
Oh my gosh, where is the favorite place for bike? Well, one thing that I really enjoy is riding the mountains. I always like to get on the steeps. I like the speed downhills and stuff like that. That's always a gas. I always like the challenge on doing the big climbs and stuff. I just there's something within me putting forth that effort and just being magnificent with that. But with the so where would that be? Lily, shucks, I haven't thought about that. While I'm riding, I'm so consumed with all my diabetes stuff that's going on with me, where my blood sugars are, my insulin, how is that going to be timing out, any of my competitions and stuff. I think for me, it's more about the people and the people that I'm riding with and our communications and stuff that matters the most. But I haven't been over to Europe yet. New Zealand would be incredible. I love riding over in Hawaii. I think next time I get over there, if it's not, right. In fact, I'm supposed to do a half Ironman coming up in early June over in Kona. If it works out, I'm going to try to ride from the Kailua fishing pier where the Ironman starts to the top of Mauna Kea, and that's an event that they do. But I'll just do it on the one day. Have to get a bike with a big climbing gear.
That sounds incredible.
Those are fun, but I ride up and down the coast. I'll ride from here to San Jose for Thanksgiving. It's 700 miles in 6 days. That's a great one. I've done that one about 25 times. I just feel better when I'm in motion because I know where my blood sugar is going, and I'm forcing oxygen into my body. That is essential for us diabetics because that's where our problem is. We don't breathe as well because we have glycosylated hemoglobin. So the more of that, and just in knowing that, it just brings me pleasure and joy to keep staying healthy.
That's just so inspiring to hear your story. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing that with us. It's been amazing.
Great to hear your voice, Lily. I hope to meet you at some point.
You'll have to come join us at Sonoma next year.
Sonoma, shucks, I used to live in Sacramento.
Yep, that's where we are.
And why next year? Is that where you guys are going to do your event on the 10th of October? Is it October 10?
So this year, yes, our virtual event is October 10, and we're hoping to have an in-person event next year. And we're all keeping our fingers crossed that it's safe for everybody.
Yeah, and I was really impressed, Bill, that you actually do the Tour to California route. Are you doing that exact route, or are you just riding from?
Oh, Alan, I enjoy the coast because I've lived along the coast up until 2004 when we moved out here to the desert area here in Palm Springs or Coachella Valley. Yeah, but I ride down to San Diego, North County, and have some friends down there, or Mission Bay. That's my first day, and then I'll ride up through Palos Verdes. I might stay with Cliff there, Cliff Sherb, and then further up to Mulholland, stay there with Rob, and then off to Santa Barbara with my mother or sister, and then Palos Verdes, Pismo Beach, and then Carmel, and that's the big one going over Big Sur, and I have to go inland because the route's closed this year. This period right now, and then on to San Jose. So that one's about 600. I think Tour of California had some inland routes as well, but just doing the straight shot on the coast that's great fun. I always invent people, but people really don't have a week to ride. They got other things to do. Like
the other day, I was chatting with Bill, and so I'm based out of Stockton. And it's like, I should come by and visit. Like, so he meant riding up here. It's like, so you off of 99? It's like, yes. So it's like, it's nothing for him. It's like.
So was that a 6-hour bike ride for you?
No.
For us?
No, that's got to be about 5 days at least.
So do we have other questions? Let's see the chat. No, in the Q&A.
Hey, Manny.
I've got a question for Bill.
Yeah,
hey, Bill,
followed by Tom.
This is Danny Medley, the associate director for the ADA. I am an aspiring triathlete. I'm a pretty good runner, and I just got a bike, and I'm doing well on that. But I got into the pool, and I'm awful. I swim like a dead fish. Do you have any tips on like how to train?
All right.
Yeah, Danny. The best thing to do is, like a single fish swimming out in the ocean is he's going everywhere, back and forth and up and down and stuff like that. But as soon as you get within a group, you are going to be one of the fish in the school and swim with them. And, you'll be off course and not swimming correctly, for a while, but you'll pick up tips from other people. There's books about that. But I'd say that number one best, because I had the same problem. I surfed a lot, but I joined a swim club or went to the pool on a regular basis where there was a master's level coach. And I just keep asking him tips. I was always in the water chasing the other guys or gals, always chasing, always trying to be there and just working yourself harder and harder. And then you start to learn how to, push yourself very hard, but remain relaxed enough so that you can breathe and not struggle. That's key.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Join a group. Join a group and do that. Yeah, just being out there by yourself as you're brand new, it's so difficult. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Sure.
Bill, I was going to ask Tom here related question, which is, it sounds like cycling is kind of in the triathlon sphere, is your go-to wheelhouse activity. Is that so? and have things changed over time?
You know, when I first started, Tom, when I first started doing the all the triathlon stuff, my prowess was running, cycling. I had to bring my swim up to speed so that, you know, I could compete on all parameters. For many years, I was one of the top amateur competitors, and I think maybe 8 out of 10 races I was, you know, top 8, I guess, top 5, and did very well at that. You can only do so many triathlons in your life, and then you know, it's kind of ho hum because you're beating all these other guys, you know, every other weekend. You know, it was crazy. So I started to do ultra marathons, and then you know, that was my prowess, was really doing running and stuff. But I never gave up the bike, and now it's just another chapter to keep, you know, life blossoming for me in endurance sports. I do bike racing, and bike racing has just been very challenging, especially with the diabetes, because when you do the sprint races, your blood sugar just goes screaming high because you're putting out so much epinephrine, and that changes your glucose quantity coming out of the, you know, changing a glycogen to glucose with that epinephrine or the adrenaline as it affects the liver. And so I do some crazy stuff. Like I'll start in getting ready for a criterium race, which is like a 45-minute to a 1-hour race. And the scariest thing, Tom, that I do, I take an 8-unit shot of super fast acting insulin right in the thigh before one of those races. And I feel good in the race, and I still finish with my blood sugar in the 200s, but I feel very good. I'm scared to take any more to try to bring it lower, because after 2 hours, as I was saying, you know, your body starts getting more sensitive, and you need to start putting stuff in. That insulin, that big insulin shot comes alive, you better be near your food.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So you know, I'm ready to do you know, a marathon today. In fact, at one time I had the world record for 21 years for insulin dependent diabetic for a marathon. That was a 2:38 in LA Marathon in '91. So that was pretty fun to have that for a while. But there are other guys that are faster for sure.
Well, you paved the way for them.
Bill, I'd like to ask you another question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
You know, I understand that you're a physical therapist in, you know, your current work, and I was curious if you have any tips for people that you know, are tight like myself, where, you know, haven't properly stretched over, you know, 20 years of cycling.
You know, a physical therapist, they can show you correct ways to stretch that don't involve smashing on your back. If you're sitting down on the ground with your legs stretched out in front of you, that's a great way to open up those muscles on the back side of yourself, hamstrings, and then and those gluteal muscles. Those often get tight with all the cycling. You know, you've got hip flexors also get tight. There's kind ways on how to do that, and in fact, you can, in the state of California, I don't think you need a doctor's, well, it's true, you don't need a doctor's prescription to go into a physical therapist, and they can use some straps and get you a position on the table, and then minimize other joints being moved, and then just doing specific stretch on those muscles so that you can gain some flexibility. And they, you know, you do that over like a 4-week period, you know, they can do just a massive stretch out. Alan, if you come down to the desert, man, I'll get you.
All right. You know, I'll put a quick plug in for you too. Are you doing virtual physical training?
What's that? No.
Okay.
You know, right now, my hospital work is like 40, 50 hours a week. And then I'm trying to hang in there with the training and stuff. And so that takes a lot of time. And then I've got some other computer projects that I'm working on. So my life's pretty busy, and I have the date trees and
climbing up the date trees. That's somebody's got to do it, right?
Oh man. Well, I only have to go up one more to get two more shoots pollinated. I think this year, because we have more shoots this year than we've had in the past, I think this year I'll have about 2,000 pounds of dates. That's only 4 trees. That's a lot of dates. A ton. Yeah.
One more thing, our executive director in Hawaii actually joined this call. I'm not sure if she is still on. Obviously did big things in Hawaii. They have a walk kind of run event that's approaching on May 22nd.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Any words of encouragement for people, in Hawaii that should get involved with that event?
Absolutely. That was where my beginnings were. I was the first diabetic to do Ironman Triathlon Kona in 1983, which was a significant success because it was on the Wide World of Sports, ABC Wide World of Sports. And it was just a great time in all the diabetes community. I'm not saying that braggart wise, but I'm saying it because there were so many people that even today people still talk about it. Look at Manny. So anyway, people in Hawaii, it's such a beautiful place to be. And it's, there's so many wonderful places. I've been many times. I just love the event. Make sure that, when you're out there, you're wearing something cool. I always like to wear a big straw hat to keep the sunshine off the top of the head and the shoulders. That keeps you cool. The more times that you can get out and start walking and just start doing the fat burning thing, breathing hard, walking fast, doing that for a half an hour today, and just staying completely away from the carbohydrates. The diabetic condition can just be so much more improved. Take friends. Always try to rope other people in with you. And then there's those days that you won't be able to head out yourself. So you'll be setting an example for those other people. They say, wow, he's pretty tough, man. Why is he able to do all that stuff all the time? And then you show up at their door and you go get them. And then you take them on the next walk. But God bless the people over in Hawaii, and what a wonderful place to live. Celebrate your youth and your family and the beautiful place that you live, and get out and get your bodies in better shape so you can enjoy and do all those things that are so prevalent over there in Hawaii.
Mahalo. Thank you so much. And
Mahalo.
I guess any similar words of encouragement for people here in California when it comes to the Tour de Cure?
Those people with diabetes, there's things that you have to do. One thing is great is to have a physician that is willing to, really listen to you and learn all those different things about you. Okay. Then you gotta stay on top of that blood sugar management. You gotta be taking your injections, and do it numerous times a day if you have to. If you're doing loop therapy or pump therapy, that's very helpful. Okay. You always need to get the exercise stuff in. If you exercise every day, your body will become much more productive. It'll be easier to manage your blood sugar. It'll oxygenate you better, and it'll keep you from those long-term diseases longer. And then the food is so critical. Here's something, Alan, for sure. I want you, if you can just repeat this to people every time you see them, because you look pretty lean. I think you got the idea. Here's the deal. 70% of a good body is won in the kitchen, hands down. Okay, so that's for sure. So yeah, so those are the things, blood sugar management. You got to get the exercise done, and then have an excellent coach. If it's not a doctor, maybe join diabetes camps, and that's what Tour de Cure is. It's like a big diabetes camp. Everybody getting together and talking about all these things. That's the brotherhood, sisterhood that helps all of us. There's nothing that separates or differences us from each other, because we're all, so close to having a major disaster in our lives, or having incremental victories throughout our days and weeks and years as we live, just because we're willing to come up to the front of the line and say, hey, I'm monitoring my sugar. I got to take an extra shot. Hey, I'm not going to eat that all that carbohydrate, all that pizza and pasta. You know, I got this other stuff that I can do. Or if I do, I can do it occasionally and then just take enough insulin to do it. And, you know, as Sumi was saying, doing it in moderation. That is the key. Thank you for that, Sumi.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Bill. This is like incredible to have this extra time with you and like just do one-on-one questions. Like you're such an inspiration to all of us.
Okay. Good. Hey, well, you know, we're all kind of in this together, Manny. So, you know, I'm just hoping that the diabetes doesn't attack some people. You know, working in the hospital, I see a lot of people that have been uneducated and neglectful with the diabetic complications, and you know, it just breaks my heart because, you know, it can just disasterize your body. It can be bad news, but you know that all we can do is pursue with our clear minds and our hearts about doing the best job that we can to stay alive. And eventually, you know, you may or may not, you know, wind up with some problems. We all don't have the same genetic codes or whatever, but at least you're trying and going in the right direction. And that's the main thing. If you try and you have the heart and you're following these rules and stuff, you might make a long time. You know, I'm 45 years and after my physicals in this last year, they couldn't find a lick of disease on me. I mean, I don't have anything. So it's been working for me. Yeah.
Bill, I just have to say, I've calculated your age and you look 20 to 25 years younger than your actual years.
You mean I look like I'm 25?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, Bill. Yes.
Nice. Thank you, Tom. Tom, was that you or that was Danny?
Oh, that was me, Tom.
Tom. Okay, thanks, Tom.
You bet.
Hey, Tom, did you see who was that fellow? I forgot that fellow's name down there in Texas. He just ran coast to coast. What's that fellow's name? Dan. Yeah, he just ran coast to coast and you know, raised
here we've got one of our folks.
Munchow. Yeah, he was awesome, wasn't he? You see that guy?
I did not. I missed that.
He's awesome. Yeah, he did it. Yeah. I donated some money to his effort. He was getting ready. It was last year. I think it was in last October or something, or November or something like that. Yeah, and I just saw that it was on Facebook or something. And yeah, so he got it completed. Man, good for that fellow. You know, that's awesome.
That's cool.
I'm gonna unmute everybody to see if there's any last minute questions before, you know, we sign off here. You know, I think people are shy to raise their hand. So hopefully we don't ask you all the questions at the same time. But here we go. Any other questions for Bill?
So thank you, Bill, for your time in inspiring the Toward the Cure community, from Patrick Landrum.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
Okay, well, with that, you know, thank you so much to everybody for participating here today. Extra special thanks to Bill and Manny and Brooks and everybody that spoke. We're really excited about this year, so you know, please keep in touch. Stay tuned on social media for our latest activities. If you haven't registered yet, go to diabetes.org/TDC California, and we'll see you on October 10th, if not before then. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Go Red Rider.
Go Red Riders. Thanks for making us Red Riders look good, Bill.
You guys already look good. You have a great community. Your cohesiveness of your group and all the people that are involved is just wonderful. Yeah, Alan, that's fantastic. Great job, man. Great.
Thank you, sir. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.